Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Darts, episode 58. It is not episode 60. That is a sad thing, and I'll explain that here in a second. But good morning, everybody. Hey, hopefully you are enjoying your Monday morning. Maybe it's brisk where you're at. I know where we are, it rained most of the weekend, and my mom lives in Missouri, and it was like 87 degrees there. So who knows what's going on with the wonderful weather these days. Before we get into anything real quick, I do want to just bring this up again. Today is the 9th. Tomorrow is the 10th. So let me share this real quick with you. If you go in the comments, you'll see this real quick. And then we'll get our guest on. This is a link to the Amazon page where you can purchase a product. This goes to Brother Vinny's, which is helping disabled veterans get some furniture and some stuff together as they move into new apartments. Guys, I'm giving away cool stuff. I've got sets of darts to give away. I've got my darts, which I haven't even gotten on the website yet. Just took photos this week. That's going to be available. Giving away a bunch of stuff tomorrow. Go buy something, whether it's a $7 item or whatever it is. Buy that. DM me, email me. Let me know that you purchased that. And let's help these guys out. And here's the great thing. If you guys will do this throughout the year, up until the end of the year, just DM me, hey, Matt, I got something for this, or hey, I got something for this. I'm going to send you something, maybe a sticker packet or something. Anybody that's done this, make sure that I know, and I'm going to send you something for helping them out. All right, without any further ado, I really want to bring on our guest because it's going to be a fun, great day. She's been here before. I also want to thank my sponsors, of course, Shot Darts. Great darts. They've got some really cool stuff out. The new Kyle Anderson line is out. And, of course, Magicwear. But we'll let Jen talk a little bit more about that. Let's bring on the illustrious Jennifer Mounts. Hey, Jen, how's it going?
Hey, Matt. I haven't heard that kind of an intro before. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, I'm stoked to have you back on the show. I'm sorry it's not number 60. I know we try to keep it in that 10 bump, but...
I know. It's okay.
You know, sometimes you just got to roll with what you got, right?
Yeah, that's understandable. We messed it up last time, so it's already, the chain's broken. It's okay.
So sorry. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. It's my fault. So, hey, how have you been? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to come on to your show at least once a month. I know it's been a little while. We got a little busy. For those of you that are not aware, the company that I work for, ADZdarts.com, the parent company is called Magic Darts, and they purchased USA Darts Production. And ever since the WDF Virtual Cup started, we've been streaming those knockout rounds, and it's been bananas, like how nuts. We've been super busy with William Stewart as our streaming technician. We've been going almost every day, it feels like, streaming matches. We've done over 20, I think, since the knockout round started. And then, of course, it's Black Friday season. So for just normal A to Z and Magicwear, we've been scrambling to, make sure we're totally prepared for that. And we have all of our deals picked out. There's one going on right now, in fact, I think we'll get into a little later. But it's been wonderful. It seems like darts was stagnant for so long, and now all of a sudden there's so many things going on. I don't know what to watch or pay my attention to. And even the Bet Victor World Cup of Darts, I'm scrambling to, watch those matches real quick while doing my chores around the house and just squeeze it all in.
Yeah, it's been crazy. With all the virtual stuff, there's darts almost 24/7.
Yeah.
It's pretty. You guys have been streaming, of course, at random hours because it's been a world situation, so it has to work for the players. But I mean, like, I've seen streams that just random, like, I'll get on. I'm like, oh, cool, a stream's on.
Yeah, so, it's 5 a.m. Let's watch some darts.
Exactly. No. I was like, oh, dude, do I want to get up? I'll lay in bed watching my phone. It's been cool though. It's lots and lots of darts, and of course, as we get to the end of the year, it just seems like it's piling on. So, let's talk USA Darts Productions a little bit, because I know you guys just finished up the World Darts Federation, or you haven't finished that, but we've got the ladies done, right? We still have the men to finish up. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on with that. Maybe some of the struggles, some of the fun, and if you've been announcing as well with Will, which has been fun, I'm sure. And I want to talk a little bit about the Fallon Sharrock match. If you could just kind of, because you got to watch the full thing. I unfortunately didn't, But I'll let you here. I'll just shut up and let you go.
No problem. It's it's been a whirlwind of effort and attention from everyone on our team. We really didn't expect to come out the gate guns blazing. When we acquired this company, it was more of just the original owner, Kevin Malenfant, created this company. He's been running it for over a decade, and he decided to retire. And so for us, we were already partnering with him, and we would travel to tournaments together. And we just thought, well, if we could find a dedicated live streaming technician, which ended up being Will Stewart, then we're going to be okay to take this on, despite everything that we have going on and what we have to manage and allocate our time to. So it was a daunting task, but we decided to do it, and we're very, honored to have had the opportunity, and we hope that we're making him proud with the content that we're putting out there. So it's been, it's really been wonderful that the virtual cup came around, and we worked with Dark Connect and Buddy with the WDF, and it's been an awesome team. I gotta say, when it comes to live streaming, scheduling, and working with players, so many things can go wrong, and so many schedules can change last minute, and we have had very little of that. It's been constant communication with everyone, and all the expectations have been set. So I think in business, that doesn't happen very often. And it's just, no one really cares about that aspect of it. But for me, it's been just perfect. And the best part is getting to speak to and coordinate with the professional players around the world. And Fallon, of course, definitely one of my favorites to chat with, just setting up the stream. We've learned a lot of random facts about her personal life. I think, I don't remember why we were talking about it, but she was telling us that she's just absolutely petrified of deer, or any of the deer family. And I was thinking, like, okay, that's not like your typical, I'm afraid of snakes, or
I want to know the backstory on that story.
I really think it's just that. Well, for an example, my wife has done a lot of wildlife rescue, and she's explained to me very clearly, like, deer are not to be messed with. They are seriously dangerous creatures. And I'm like, okay, I'm one of those that sees from afar, like they're real cute from a distance. I don't have any personal experience really.
They watch Bambi. That's their They watch Bambi, and they go, okay, humans. So they know what we're all about. So they know.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we're all just we have this preconception about certain creatures and critters, but yeah, they're evidently very dangerous, and you don't want to mess with them. And I don't think that she's had, a lot of traumatizing experiences, but it's just this fixation that's always been with her, and people, of course, mess with her because of it. And so she was playing against Diane Gobale from Canada in the semifinals, and we were talking about what if you ran into a moose? Like, let's up the ante there and see, well, what are you going to do then? And she's like, I would just die right there, So we're learning little tidbits about everyone, and it's interesting because the international professionals, they're all bilingual, trilingual. Like, Will and I are sitting here just feeling ridiculous, looking for translators, and it's been great though. We've always had a translator when we needed one, either Tsuyoshi Yamasaka with L Style would come on and translate for Mikuru, or we'd have husbands or family members come in for Ksenia and Arena Armstrong with her husband John. So it's been super cool. We get to meet the players, talk to them a little bit while we set up, and meet their families. And you kind of you realize what people's motivations are, what really drives them, or how comfortable they really are. Like, everyone can have a certain temperament while they're shooting, but I think secretly all dart players are just total head cases. We're all just right in our heads, and no one really knows what's going on. We might seem cool, but it's interesting to kind of get their little comments before and after the matches. They don't let the world see.
Yeah, it's interesting because I lost this one of my matches this week in league, and I was so pissed. And he's right now, it's the guy that's leading the league and all that, but in my head I was so pissed. Like, I didn't even want to talk to the guy afterwards. I was like I know you, we talk all the time, but right now I hate you. I was throwing like crap, and it wasn't him. He wasn't beating me. I was beating myself. And so that getting in the head thing, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's been nice, and it's nice to see them give advice as well when someone doesn't lose so gracefully, or they're very upset with themselves. like you asked about the women's finale. So that was Fallon versus a young lady, a 14-year-old named Ksenia Klochek from Russia, and she has experience traveling internationally and playing some big names. But she was particularly nervous for the live stream. A lot of the players were. So it's kind of interesting to think, they have that experience with the giant crowd of the audience members in a physical location, like shouting and chanting and being on a big stage, but some of them don't have the competitive experience of being on a virtual live stream. So I think that element has been kind of a trip for some of the players, and she was really down on herself, not happy with the way she performed, and Fallon jumped right in, and she was saying, what people don't realize is they look at, Fallon's career right now, and it's just like this pinnacle of a moment where she's made history. She's beating, X, Y, and Z player, and she's so fantastic. But what about that journey that she had to take to get there? All the times that she lost and all the times that she was haunted by her bad performance. And she's saying, those are those moments that make you a champion, is if you can learn from losing and not only, have a snowball effect of gaining confidence from winning. So I really like that she kind of jumped in with saying, like, hey, I've been you many, many times, more than you can imagine. And I've been totally just knocked off my game. I've, wanted to quit, and everyone kind of goes through that roller coaster. So it's really nice to see the senior player, in a sense, talk to what we consider the future of dart.
So sure. Fallon at the great age of 26 is the senior.
She's the
senior
she's
player.
Got all the wisdom.
She's got all the wisdom. But it's interesting because the great players, just to kind of bring this in, the great players deal with the ups and downs. They deal with the having bad years. And that's what makes them great, is they're able to push through those things. That's what makes them, let's be honest, better than those of us like myself who, don't deal with the struggles in the same way that some of them do. So that's awesome. And she was 14. That blew me away the first time I heard. I'm like, what? And then she made it to the finals. She played some seriously talented women out there and beat them.
Arguably a tougher road than Fallon took. If you look at the bracket, she had to face, she faced Trish Grazik, the North American Canadian here, and then she went right into having to go against Tori Kewish from Australia. She's Australia's #1 player. You had her on the channel as well. Yeah. She went right on after that to have to play Eileen de Graaf, and had a really close match, just inching out 4-3 over her. And then Irina Armstrong, one of the best female talents from Germany, originally from Russia, progressed over her to get into the finale. So it was a really rough road, I think, for her. I didn't pay too close attention to the round robin situation, but she holds the record for highest checkout on a live stream of ours too, on the women's side, a 132 out against Irina in that semi. So she definitely. She had the talent. She needed to outperform herself, though, because Fallon just came out white hot, didn't give her a breather at all in that finale.
Yeah. Well, and that's two great things there. You've got a young talent it's definitely going to learn from this and take it to the next level. And she learned it doesn't matter who you're playing. If you're on a hot streak, you just crush them. That's as great as this sport is, and we're friends and all that other stuff. You have to, in my opinion, you have to dislike the person you're playing against. And we saw that this week. We saw that with the PDC. You saw guys that were friends. During the practice, they're making jokes on stuff, and then they got to the stage. Right. I was like, I hate you. Sorry, my country's gonna crush your country. And we saw it. And then afterwards, they're like, hey, what's up? Let's get a beer. Yeah. So it was cool. Did you get to see much of this weekend's?
I tried. Okay. I do have a PDC subscription. I think it's funny, when we see like reruns or people are posting results, everyone's always like, where do I watch? And it's like, get a PDC TV subscription. It's very affordable. Don't wait for the to watch it on a different platform way later down the road. It's one of the most exciting matches that are coming out of the darts world. It's one of those things you got to do it or share one with someone. I don't know. But yeah, I did watch pretty much, all of the USA Canadian matches, and then I dedicated myself to watching quarterfinals and up. So it was really cool to see Wales, have their first win at it, and man, the commentators were pretty much on point, and they had, that prediction from the beginning that they were a very strong team, their team dynamic, and also performance. And Gerwin was just a beast, but I think not enough credit goes to his partner. I mean, he was very clutch, and a lot of moments he didn't allow it to go to the team, the pairs, and to get that third point in many of those matches. So it was really cool. I will say though, when we did our virtual cup semifinals, that was Alan Suter from Scotland versus John Williams Jones from Wales as well. A lot of people were saying in the chat that talent that came out of that match was even more entertaining than some of the World Cup matches. So that was definitely, I didn't see all of the World Cup matches, so I can't say definitively, but that was really cool to see people kind of comparing it to a PDC live stage when you don't have that atmosphere and the players, set up the cameras and you have no control over that entertaining visual aspect. But that was definitely touched our hearts. So we were happy to kind of see people really enjoying some of the content that we've been putting out with USA Darts. And we've got our men's finale coming up on Wednesday. If you guys don't want to miss it in a couple of days, just go to our website, usadarts.live. You'll see the full live schedule, or follow us on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah. You guys have been putting out some really high quality content, some great matches, for sure. Some good names. And I'm sure some of these players we're going to see down the road in potential PDC elements and other, championship dart circuit type situations. So really nice stuff. I've been able to, the nice thing is I'll have it on like one screen while I'm doing some other stuff and I get to go back and forth. And of course, Dylan, man, if darts is on, it's crazy. We were up at 4 a.m. yesterday to watch, the PDC and the day before, Canada, which good on those guys. Good on Matt Campbell, Jeff Smith. They went deep into that tournament. Good for them, and they played well. And I think Matt Campbell, I'm predicting it now. He's going to get third round at the Worlds. He will go that deep into that tournament. For sure. I know he's a debutant for that, but he's gonna push on. He's just such a good player. So I wanted to call it. I'm calling it out right now.
They were such a good team. Jeff is a really big stage player. If you guys have ever followed his career, I mean, he's deadly when there's a lot at stake. And then you take Matt, which it's such an interesting dynamic because Matt, people might not know as much about him, but this is a guy that really could not care what's going on, what the situation is. He's has that ability to not allow putting this experience up on a pedestal. He doesn't think of it that way. It's just he can shake off a bad round like nothing, and it really showed. Like he's got that even keel temperament. Nothing can really faze him, probably other than himself. And so he, I really was not surprised how well he did. And I think I can piggyback on your prediction there, Matt. I'm going to be with you on that one.
Yeah, I think he's going to get deep in there. And the talent pool that will show up is going to be intense, which like we saw this weekend. That was cool. And I called Wales. I'm just saying it, guys. I called Wales last week. Just want to point that out. But I think everybody called Wales.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But you called it at least a full ahead of time. Everyone's calling it during the finals. They're like, yeah, Wales has got this.
Yeah. No, I called it last week. But they played well. And Germany played extremely well. Much better than some people thought. Yeah. They did well. And I mean, it was a fun tournament. It was great. I will say the Ferret had another miscount. That's 2 tournaments in a row with some miscounts there. I know that, and here's the biggest thing about him is darts is a hobby for him. Most people don't realize that he has a full-time gig that he loves more than darts. And darts is, can you imagine if he just went full out on darts? Johnny would crush it.
I think a lot of players are actually like that. It's kind of shocking. And you'd be surprised how many players, darts is not, in terms of a competitive sports atmosphere, that's not their first choice. Like you have darts players that really put all into like baseball, or Leonard Gates is that way. Baseball is his real love, and that's what he wished, he had like the physical stature for and could continue with that, but it's a little harder on the body. So it's kind of surprising the amount of people that do have to have a full-time job, and that's clearly evident in North America. There's, I can maybe name 2 people that I know for sure could make a living off darts alone, maybe, but it wouldn't be a great living, so it's definitely tough. But it's interesting to throw the European guys into the mix and see like who's truly 100% dedicated, who has an agent, who does have that passion, that love, or who's just really good at the sport and does it for kicks and giggles. That's an interesting point for sure.
I made an extra 80,000 this year, just playing
Yeah.
darts. No big deal. I'm gonna go back to my $40,000 a year job. It's all good. So, but yeah, and I've been talking about that. And if you watched last week, Larry and I were talking about darts from the 80s and going forward and how do we get the money back in the sport. And I wish I could figure that out. I wish I could just become a billionaire and be like, hey, let's dump money into it. But it doesn't work that way. You have to have, ways to generate money. And one of those ways is by having stores that support the darts community, by having distributors that support the darts community. And of course, you work with Magic Darts, which is A to Z Darts, and Magicwear and USA Darts Production. And so you can see this. This is a gentleman who has said, hey, I have a love for the sport, and I'm going to build this to help out darts players. I want to dive into a little bit about what's going on. Let's talk Christmas maybe a little and dive into that.
It's definitely important to bring it up because, for everyone, not just A to Z Darts, think, for all of your Christmas shopping, you have to be pretty on the ball this year because of COVID. Shipping is not going to be guaranteed delivery, with your shipping companies. You're going to have to really start shopping early. Just fair warning, you never know what's going to happen. Even if you try to pay for expedited shipping, I really am worried for a lot of people. There's going to be a huge wave that's they're going to miss out on getting gifts in time. So we've started our Black Friday early because of that. So with A to Z Darts, what we've decided to do is we're going to do a mini sale every Friday for the entire month of November, and that will last 5 days. So we have one going on right now, and it's going to end Tuesday. We have select package deals and specific items that are on sale. And so all of that is displayed everywhere on our website and on our social media. You can check and see, our biggest package deal, like you see here, is definitely that Grand Board 3S along with a Corona light and a conversion kit. I just did a video in case anyone's confused about the conversion kit. It's just 4 little pieces that you insert into the outer ring of your soft tip dartboard, and then you can transition your Corona light between a steel tip and soft now, only compatible with certain boards. So that's why we picked the Grand Board 3S to go with this package. So that's ending this Tuesday if you're looking at getting, updating all of your equipment for your man cave. And we also have a few other deals going on. All unicorn darts are going on, a certain type of unicorn darts and flights, the Super True. They're all going on sale. It's kind of interesting to see what we can get a little bit of a give on with certain products, but this has definitely been one of a fan favorite. And if you guys have suggestions, by the way, of certain product that you would like to see go on sale and you've just been kind of dying to, get your hands on a certain product, let us know in the chat. You never know what could happen. I can go straight to, upper management and say, hey, this is a crowd favorite item here. What can we do the rest of the month? So let me know. Is there something in particular, that you've really, been wanting to try, but it's just a little out of your budget? We also have all of our Magicwear jerseys that have been designed for Magic Darts that are doing a blowout sale. Instead of your suggested retail of $55, they're $35 each. We have 6 different colors. So if you want to rock our brand, this is the Magic Darts name with azdarts.com. We'd be honored to have you wear our brand. These are sublimated jerseys. The ink does not wear off. It doesn't fade away. Very, very comfortable, like kind of a silky smooth material for these jerseys. And I think the last thing going on are little game sets. There's 2 different types. This is just kind of like a classic 5-in-1 game set, and there's an octagon-shaped one as well. They're at different price points because they just include a couple of different things. I'll wait for Matt to catch up. Sorry, I've got a little too fast for you.
I've only got the one, so... Oh, wait, there's one. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Is. That one's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There's definitely been like a movement for those games that I kind of grew up from the 90s. Like I did this sort of thing with my family all the time. I have no idea if Gen Z people are familiar with these kind of like sit at home with your family games, but it's definitely nostalgic for me, I would say. I did miss one though. There's for the billiards lovers out there. If you guys dabble between darts and billiards, we have the Sir Joseph gloves going on sale. That's a blowout as well. There's I think like 6 or 7 different colors. That red color was the only one that would fit my hand. Everyone there's select sizes out there, like large and mediums out there, but I'm like an X small. So there's a few others out there. That's pretty much all that's going on for us as a mini sale. Then we're going to have our Cyber Monday, as well as a giant normal super Black Friday right after Thanksgiving, for that 5-day period as well. So I would take advantage of the mini deals. They're pretty close to, what you're going to see on the big Black Friday. We might even bring back some of those mini deals and just include them again, depending on stock quantity. I personally doubt that we're going to have enough. You never know. We might sell out of grand boards. We might sell out of those Target Vision Corona lights. They're the most high demand, popular things out there. It's been really difficult throughout COVID to keep everyone to keep those in stock. So I would take advantage of that if you have a remote interest in it at all. And it's been wonderful for the virtual darts game as well, having those Corona lights to play with. We actually have to kind of tone down the brightness when we have players on with that, but it helps so much for the viewer, the spectators, to not see those shadows when they play, and that's pretty crucial, when you're trying to enjoy the game. Make sure you know what's going on.
Are we going to see the Prodigy board on sale?
Well, we have it in stock. That's the tough thing is I've been dying to do a review of that, and we've been patiently waiting, because that's one of those things, like, I think, no offense to anyone else that does product reviews, but usually people are about the timing and making sure that they're getting information out as fast as possible. But when we do reviews, they're intended to last forever and to be come back and reviewed again or included elsewhere. We spend quite a bit of time. I would say when I reviewed the Grand Board 2 back 3, 4, 5 years ago, that was a 5 business day process of making sure that all the research was absolutely accurate. We could think of everything that could happen, tech issues, everything, and include it all. And so the Prodigy is the biggest feat yet for me personally in terms of what to review. It's such a high end product that I'm not sure if we ever can get a break on price, but that's a good question. I'll throw that up upstairs and see, where it lands though, Matt.
Yeah. If you guys aren't familiar, the Prodigy is the first true steel tip board, because Unicorn came out with a board like 2 years ago. You had to use their darts, and it was a steel tip board that did the scoring. The Prodigy it's got a ring on it that has a bunch of little sensors and cameras, or sensors. I don't think it's cameras, sensors that. And I'm assuming there's a plate in the back of their board that for pressure that actually will, as far as we know, accurately score a steel tip, just like a soft tip board would. So again, we will become much better at math because of these. No, we won't, but still, it's okay. But I want to get one of them. They're like $1,000, but just the idea of it is pretty awesome. I'm probably going to invest in one just to do my own kind of review on it. And I'm excited to see them. I think they're cool. So if you've been thinking about upgrading to the most high-tech steel tip board out there, this is it. The nice thing is you can use any darts. You can use your darts. That's the key element with it. And this is as far as I know about it. So I might have to get one of those things. Just the idea is pretty cool. So
there's so much to know. It's one of those products we're going to have to teach the public what it's all about. It's just not inherent to look at it and be like, oh, I get it. A lot of people don't understand the price point, and that's why there's the hesitation for me. Like, I have to really, truly dedicate time to figuring out, exactly how do I articulate why this price point, and what does it have to offer, technologically speaking and the experience-wise. It's the first of its kind. Absolutely true. I think the Unicorn board was called like the Smart Board or something like that, if I remember correctly. So it's a crucial element to be able to introduce it into standard professional play or enjoyment at home. It's one of those definitely a key item in a man cave, I would say, and announces the score for you. There's like kind of an audible element there, and of course an application that goes with it, similar to the electronic dartboard. So it's definitely taking a step in the right direction for darts.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, and I would think from a virtual standpoint, because it calls it and so forth. You know, when you have those shadows or those, hey, was that accurate? It's going to help play that out. And it's cheaper than a kid who calls them for you or does all that other stuff. But let me tell you, they're expensive. Less than $1,000. You know, I'll take $1,000 all day long over what I spend a month on food. So
that's a good point. We should stream the Prodigy board as the feature board one of these days.
Yes, yeah, it's a pretty cool what I've seen of it. So I'm gonna get my hands on one. I'm gonna order one from you guys because I don't know anybody else currently that's carrying that board. But they are in stock. They went out of stock, so they do sell.
They sold away instantly when we first picked them up, and then we've been trying. It's just one of those, like, everything's up in the air. You can't point fingers or put blame anywhere. It's a situation we were put in. So yeah, they finally restocked, and it's interesting because, again, we still haven't had time to really teach the world what it's all about. But they're really cool. We do need to show a little more video of, like, just showing gameplay. So we'll be working on that for sure for you guys.
Okay, not too quick because I want to get one and do my review, and then you guys can, exactly.
No problem.
So, totally different type of review aspect. You guys are doing, you're doing more of an in-depth product review that's for the store, for the company. I'm like, hey, as a player, here's what I think. So totally different.
Right.
So just, okay, cool. I did want to bring up, we had talked prior to coming on, we were chatting it up. You mentioned that, darts has kind of gotten this growth because of COVID, because of the virtual aspect, and that, people are stuck at home with family members and they want to throw sharp objects. And because of that, you guys are getting a lot of questions for things. I'm kind of curious, like, what are you guys hearing? What's out there? What is the issues that people are coming up with?
Well, you guys would be surprised. So this is something that's been hard for me coming into the company 3 years ago and starting to work for A to Z. I'm coming from the world where darts was, I lived and breathed darts, and all my friends were only people that understood who all of the manufacturers were, who understood how travel worked, how major competition worked. And I'm thinking from the perspective of a person that wants to accommodate those others. So coming into this company, I realized, oh my goodness, the real potential to grow darts is the 80% of people that know absolutely nothing about it. I mean, truly, this is an opportunity. Because of COVID, you guys would be shocked to know the amount of brand new players, brand new customers that are buying darts. You did see a dip, just like with almost all other industries, where the die-hard dart players bought less supplies, but there's been kind of an uptick in the interest of darts from brand new people that didn't know anything about it. So we're actually getting the most basic 101 questions, which is why we started that YouTube series. We call it Darts 101, how-to videos. That's all of our playlists and everything are organized in our Facebook and YouTube. If you guys are interested, it does touch a little bit into the intermediate advanced knowledge, or it will. We plan on it to expand, but we're covering seriously the most baby basic stuff, like how to remove your dart from the board. I have to cover the games themselves, how to score 501, strategy in cricket, which of course that can go from basic to intermediate to advanced really quick in terms of strategy. But it's kind of shocking the amount of customer service questions we're getting. People don't understand the tools and accessories that are in darts. They don't understand why they should upgrade from a plastic shaft to an aluminum shaft or a carbon fiber titanium. They don't understand that paper flights are going to rip and that they need to go to a molded flight and shaft system. It's kind of interesting. We've had to totally pivot and rechange the way that we communicate with all of our customers, and the information that is the most highest on our priority list of what to put out there. And it's a really hard choice because we spend most of our time just staying afloat as a business, fulfilling orders and going with the motions of being a company. And then on our free time, we try to put our creative team together and put content out. And so that's blogs and videos, but that's really hard. And that's why you don't see a lot of companies doing it themselves, because they have to either outsource for that, which is rough because people that don't really know anything about darts aren't going to do that well. Or doing it yourself, it's really costly. It's super costly to, like those in-depth videos, like I said, 4 or 5 business days, that's really expensive for a person's salary. So it's kind of interesting. I think we're focusing on solving people's problems right now versus saying, like, hey, have you seen, this brand new Prodigy board? If that's going to be a really small percentage of people that are interested in that sort of a thing. And I'm getting away from the the kind of nuance of darts that makes it really interesting to me, and I'm having to stop and think like, okay, how would I explain this to a 5-year-old? And so that's been our mentality, you know, for quite some time.
I have the solution for that. We will just film Dylan because he's 6.
There we go.
And since I'm going to admit something here live. He beat me in cricket the other day, legitimately. I have been helping him understand, even though he gets mad at me for trying to explain the game to him. He's like, I got it, Dad. I know this. And then the other day, because we have it set where you play 15 rounds. You know, I'm throwing around and goofing off and playing, and he's just scoring. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Next thing I know, it's like the 12th round, and I'm like, oh, he's 300 points up on me. I'm like, oh crap! I need to close out some stuff and get to. You know, anyway, he beat me legit, and he knew what he was doing. He was like, haha, and walked out of the room. Like I was like, oh crap. So my 6-year-old is now gaming cricket as well. So I'm hoping to make some money off him someday. I'm hoping. But
I was going to say, do you ever play that practice game where there's such a disparity in talent that you have to kind of handicap in a way to where you start off the game even, and once you as the primary player have closed out maybe 6 houses, you trade positions with the other person and you try to take over their score, and really all they need to do is maybe close out bull or get the point lead and close out another house, and you have to come back from, you know, wherever they've done. So it's actually quite fun.
No, because he's too good for me to do that. He really, like, literally, he's playing in his room right now. And then, you know, they have school today, so he'll have to deal with school. And then when he gets home, but he's got a board in his room, and he plays constantly. So no, he's getting too good for me to, you know, hold back anymore.
Right.
And so it's kind of fun. But yeah, I should get him to do some explainer videos as a kid. But so you guys are dealing with a lot of the nuances of the, hey, I'm new to darts. You know, what's this about? Why 80% versus 90%? I get that question a lot. You know, what's the differences? And then I get questions that you guys are getting. I'm seeing them, and I'm sure other YouTubers or others in the community are seeing the questions. What's your answer for the 80 to 90%? I'm just curious.
That's a super it can be subjective. It can be, you know, it can be down to the engineering of the darts, and you can say definitively this over this. What we always say is okay, I have to break it down to, I have to imagine as if a customer walked into my store. I have a brick and mortar dart store, and they come in and they say, and then this is the first question they come out the gate with. I'm going to stop them and kind of backtrack a little. So if they don't really have knowledge of the game, and they're already asking a little more complicated question like, why 80 over 90% or 90 over 80%? I stop them and I say, first of all, what is your budget? That is the absolute most important question you have to ask yourself, because paying extra is not going to, it does not equate talent. It doesn't mean that a dart is going to be right for you. It has way more to do with how it feels in your hand and what's comfortable for you than it has to do with the actual engineering of the dart, or one piece of equipment that's clearly more optimal than this. You have to get to a certain talent threshold, I think, personally, before you're going to worry about blaming your equipment for your bad performance. It's something that kind of drives me crazy. It's not the end of the world, but I see this happen all the time. Players, you know, maybe they miss a clutch round, or they lose a game, or whatever. The night's not their night, and they're switching out their shafts, they're switching out their flights, and they're saying like, oh yeah, if I just get a little more lift on my dart. Like, no, your groupings are like this. You need to practice actually throwing 3 of the same dart, regardless of your equipment setup. Worry about your flight pattern, how the dart impacts the board, how much lift you have once you have a tight grouping. That is way more important to be working on, you know, when we're talking about mechanics and form, before you start going and saying like, oh, if I spend $180 on a set of darts, then this is going to be right for me. I think you're just taking huge leaps way before you're ready to be asking those questions. So we start with budget. We start with the texture of their hands. We say, you know, if you have a really rough hand, or you're a construction worker, you should probably go for something that actually is a little more grippy. So a smooth dart doesn't get stuck to your hand, and vice versa. Like, I have baby smooth fingers, you know, I haven't lived a hard life. I don't want a super aggressive, rough dart that's going to get stuck, and it does. It's stuck on my hand. You have to take in, do you perspire? You have really clammy hands, or do you have really dry, smooth hands? There's questions like that are far more important right away to get the right dart for you. So something we take a lot of pride in. We believe that, when you have the opportunity to come to California and you can actually step into our store in Sacramento, there's over 200 different pairs of darts on display. You cannot really have an opportunity like that to feel the dart that you're going to throw. It's really hard to look at a picture and understand and know the measurements and figure out, oh, this is my hold, this is exactly where these reference points are going to be. All those questions still, I think, are more important than the 80 to 90%, but it's the overall quality of tungsten. The engineering, when you get into the flight pattern of the dart and how it hits the board, there are other elements in play there. Yeah, you could say easily, you want to choose this over this because it's going to give you the ability to throw 3 consistent darts, or however you want to put it simply. But at the same token, starting off with an 80% tungsten barrel, because that's all you can afford to practice to get to this point, might be the way to go. There's also differences in the actual engineering of the dart in terms of the cuts, the staining, the coats, what kind of protective layers can you put on it. That's where price really comes into play as well. When you have a black titanium nitride coating, boom, you're going from the 70 range to 120 plus range for darts, and some of those things matter. Some of those things are stylistic and decorative. So again, you can't say this dart's $150, it's going to be better than this dart, because it depends on what's going on. Is it right for you even? Are you a right-handed or left-handed shooter? Do you like a front-loaded dart? I think it's amazing. Like, sorry, I'm geeking out a little. I think a little too much from the basics of your question, but I hope that's not a cop-out to just answering the question, you know what I mean? Because it really is far more important to answer the basics and understand mechanics before you get into, oh, I want to just spend more money and it's going to be better for me.
No, I mean, I agree with you. It's really important that you start with something that you can function and play with. And yeah, you shouldn't be dropping $100 on a set of barrels, because as we all know, and in your past videos, you talked about how you would trade out barrels. So I'm going back a number of years, but everybody does that. We acquire, I've got barrels all over the place of stuff that I've played with over time. And I like it. I don't like it. I like the weight. I don't like the weight. And you figure out what you're good at. And then everybody gets hung up on the 80 to 90. I hear a lot of people say, well, just do the 90%. Don't get the 80%. But there are some differences in feel and textures and your grips. That technically tungsten is or 90% is stronger than the 80% because of the makeup of additional metals that are in there. So you might wear down your grip more. The other thing that people don't grasp is the companies like Target and Shot and Unicorn and some of these others out there, when they go to an 80% tungsten, what are the other metals that are making up the rest of the dart? They are typically using a higher grade of metal, not like a really soft brass that might be in there. It might be some other type of steel or something. So those are all the things that the minute things that go into it. But like you, I geek out on trying to figure out, okay, what's this? And I'll ask Unicorn, okay, what's the other metals that are in your barrels versus, and I'll tell you, Target and Shot probably have the most consistent mix for their metal makeups. And I've literally researched that. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's the question I get the biggest one is for me is that makeup there. So what you're saying out of all of that, here's what I took out of it. Stephen Bunting has really soft hands, is what I got out of it, because the guy has no grip on his barrel at all.
Exactly. No, it's important. I think those elements are far more important to point out and figure out for yourself. I'm surprised. I really am surprised that's your number one question. I mean, we get more basic ones like, what's the best dart ever? And that's the thing, is people don't understand. You can't just point out Phil Taylor and say he has the best grip, and I'm going to imitate that.
I hate his dart.
Or his dart. I even mean just like the way he grips the dart.
Yeah.
Like you just can't mimic a professional with one very specific thing if it's not right for you. It's so much more important to develop your mechanics as early as possible. Like go into Dylan right now and say like, okay, we're going to change one thing every 3 months that might for sure, for a lifetime, be better mechanics or something more proper, so long as it doesn't totally mess up his mentality. And you can go and tweak little things and really, really pave your way to success at the end. I think it's so much more about mechanics than it is about the material makeup or the dart you choose. And every single thing you change, that might equate to picking a different dart. For me, if I changed my stance, somehow it felt more comfortable to grip my dart differently, and that's why I did like to trade so much, and I got to try different feels and weight distributions of my dart, and that developed over time.
That is your dart right there. My daughter uses your barrel.
Oh, Matt, I found a baggie of my old barrel, the version 1, and they were just like sample pieces. And I thought for sure I'd given away or raffled off, all of my official sets. So I found a baggie, I think of like 12 of them. So I can just throw some shafts and flights and probably way better than what you would get buying a set of darts. Instead of your plastic shafts, you're gonna have like carbon fiber Astra L style flights on them. But yeah, I can put some sets together and we can give those away in some future interviews for sure.
That would be cool. Yeah. So I have a set for me. We gave a set away to someone one time, but Caitlin loves them, and you sent me a card that was signed with the jersey, and that's in her room. Dylan has one from Snakebite. I got a couple cards that he signed and sent to me, and so she's like big time. And we've lined. I got to do Dylan's room one of these days because we're lining his walls with jerseys. I've had some people send me jerseys, and of course they have their jerseys. So Caitlin now wants all the girls' jerseys she can get. So
I can help with that for sure.
I think I'm raising up two little darts players. They both stated, because when they went back to school, it was like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Both of them were like, darts player. I'm like, yes. So I'm doing something right.
You're doing your part, Matt. Definitely.
Doing my part. Hey, so I'm curious. This, again, another question, and this has to do with setups. What would you tell Snakebite, considering he changes his stuff almost every minute?
He's one of my favorites to watch, and gosh, that's the worst part about virtual darts is I love watching the players' facial expression, their mechanics, not so much how they react to like good and bad darts. Although I was imitating Gerwin Price all day yesterday, and I think my wife thought I was losing my freaking mind. Like, I could just listen to him just go, "Hurrah!" like all day, every day. It's the best. He looks like his head's gonna pop. Yeah,
the vein on his neck. It's like
his face gets a whole different shade of red, and it's oh god, it's so funny. But anyways, sorry, Snakebite. Have you guys ever noticed this about him? He pulls up his dart. I'll go face on for the camera. So he has the dart, and then very last minute in his take back, when he's at that moment where he's ready to release, he just turns his cheek just a little. He just turns his face a little to the side and pushes it away every time. It's consistent every time, so I can't knock it. But that's one of my favorite little things that I've ever noticed about him. But I don't know. He's in some of his best form now. I guess you could make the argument. So those micro changes might have been his downfall, to lack consistency or to commit to something in your mind. That's the worst thing you can do, is to change something during a tournament, or to change your darts, during a tournament. Then it might work for a little bit, and then you start to doubt it, and you want to go back to what you're comfortable with. I don't know. I think I'd have to study his throw a lot more over the years to answer that question well. But it is hard. I always suggest to not change more than one little thing after you've sufficiently practiced it to where you can wake up and you can still throw it that way, the next day or after a week, because you might get something down, but once you've gone to sleep and got back up, you might not be able to repeat it. People get overwhelmed. That's how you develop dartitis. People get super overwhelmed taking in the advice of a lot of really bad players in the bar all at once instead of one dedicated coach. That's not something that's culturally popular in North America, is having a darts mechanics and form coach. You had Dax Munna up on your channel, and he had a wonderful interview with you talking about his kind of I guess you could call it a career of being a dart coach, and he contributes blogs all the time about form and mechanics for us. So we were very appreciative to have a connection with him, and to see a little bit of that, hopefully inspire that one person that really has an eye for watching people and can break it down simply and say, do you want to know why you're hitting the 5 every time you go for the 20? It's because your elbow's kicking out. And even though everything else is straight, that last little bit of your elbow kicking out is causing that millimeter of a difference for it slipping into the 5, or just these tiny little, tips and tricks. They're very important to be able to actually spot and point out. So for snakebite, it's hard to critique a professional because they're so good that it feels silly to want to even break down anything about them and say, oh, he's changing too many things and this is why he's not good. But those tiny little moments probably do equate from second to first prize, and the difference between that, I think every little thing does matter at their game. So yeah, I think slowing down the crazy amount of changes is always a good idea.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that a lot of players this year, at least PDC wise, the new barrels come out. You have the new launches that take place this time of year. And so you see the players playing with their launch dart barrel. And we saw this with Rob Cross. He was playing with the new barrel that Target just launched for him, which is a beautiful barrel. But yesterday he had gone back to his old barrel. And of course, we've seen MVG do that quite often. I never know, like with snakebite, it's who knows if it's an old barrel, new barrel, or what it is, because it's the constant change. But we saw in the Worlds last year, he went back to the black strike or whatever that one was, and then the next game. So we even see pro players change up a little bit, which should tell those that are playing that, hey, if you're off, if you're just consistently just your game something off, maybe a small tweak here and there can get your mindset right. And then you can go back to something. It's really this a lot of the time, and then it's the physical, how are you standing at the Aki that makes up a ton of what you see in like, looking at like Menser and how he plays and he rolls the dart, and looking at Kyle Anderson and how he does things. I mean, everybody's got a little tweak. It's like golf. It's very much like golf. You'll go spend $300 on a new driver and play wonderfully with it, and then 2 weeks later you're back to your old driver because the new driver sucks. It's kind of that methodology. Since we're on this topic of helping people to understand their throw a little bit better, is there a recommendation, for people? Like for me, I'm struggling. I'm going to the right a ton all of a sudden. Like I just can't keep it in line where I was. I was playing really well, and now it's that. But you couldn't make an adjustment without seeing me play, right? I mean, you really need to see it.
Yeah, there are. We can make assumptions, which is bad. You don't want to assume. There are, like I said, the thing about if you're a right-handed player, your elbow's kicking out, you hit the 5. That's just one explanation of what could be happening. So I think Dax said it best. If you are going to take it seriously, you want to choose a dart coach. You want someone that's going to not just be able to dissect you in one day and pick out these things and you're going to be off on the road to success, but they're going to need to monitor your progress over a period of time. And I think at the very minimum, 3 months is a suggestion that I would make. But it's something I did all the time. You can be your own coach. You can sit and set up a slow motion camera. A cell phone works fine. There are slow motion apps, free apps out there. Take video of yourself throwing. Typically, you'd want to go directly from the side, and also maybe directly dead on or slightly to the left, whatever you feel comfortable with, not hitting your cell phone on accident. And look between 3 darts thrown, what has changed. Remember what you hit, in that moment. Why did you hit this dart based on, can you identify something in your mechanics? Did you hop last minute? Was your shoulder creeping and moving? Did you roll the dart into your hand? There's a million micro things that could happen, and you're standing 8 feet away from the board. So the slightest change or the slightest additional movement is going to mean the difference between failure and success on the board. That's what's so great about our sport. I don't think from a spectator standpoint, people understand that so much, but you as the player, it's very satisfying to me to know that if I have this formula and I can set up, take back, and throw the same way every time without thinking about it, then it's like magic. It just works. That's a very comforting feeling for me. Not everyone likes to think about their form and mechanics. Like you said, maybe Dylan hates being taught anything or having any kind of critique there, and it just like will totally throw him out of this game. There are some people like that, and they tend to be rhythm shooters. But setting up that camera is going to change your life, and again, but don't change a million things. Identify what the problem is and eradicate it first. Try to throw 3 darts the same way every single time. Even though it may not look pretty on the board of what you're hitting, you have to not worry about outcome at first. You have to develop something that once you get to the line and there's maybe, I don't know, 50,000 pounds on the line at a PDC stage, you cannot think about that. You have to develop your form to a point to where you step onto that stage and you're just taking out the garbage. You're up there, you're throwing darts, but in your mind, you're taking out the garbage. You're not thinking about outcome. You're not thinking about winning or losing. If you need that kind of a boost to have concentration, that's great. But I think ultimately, from the hundreds of players that we've interviewed and talked to, and the owner, John Baxter of Magic Darts, he was top American player in the 80s. He spouts this like it's a religion all the time. You have to just walk up there and use your subconscious mind to be successful on the board. And there's a really particular road to get there. It takes practice. That whole muscle memory thing that people say, yeah, that's a thing, but you have to have the right form and mechanics to develop the right muscle memory. You have to make sure you eradicate issues to where your body's going to fight against you. And that's a lot about dartitis as well. It can sometimes be mental. It can sometimes be a physical ailment that's preventing you from being able to throw the 3 same darts every time.
Yeah, I don't know that my issue's dartitis, other than I bet just my form's off, which dartitis comes up a lot. That's a big question I'm seeing a lot as well. It's funny because Dax just hit me up. He's like, hey, send me a video. Where, in respect to this, I think that's kind of, for darts, as the sport progresses and we see the virtual side progress, is we need people like Dax who are out there that are willing to, take a look at a throw. And I just want to say, just because you might, your average might be 50 versus the A players that are in the 70s in your league, however your league is played, doesn't mean you can't see something in another player that they're doing that's a little off. I think as players, we need to be respectful of what others are seeing and ask the questions. Even professional volleyball players have coaches. I mean, these are guys that are playing volleyball in the sand, and they've got a coach. I think that's the one big missing piece in darts worldwide. Well, maybe not so much in Asia.
In America, Asia's on point.
Asia's on point. Yeah. The UK, I don't know that there's that many darts coaches in the UK. You just go to the pub and you've got a bunch of coaches in the pub. But, I think here it would be nice to see. So, guys, Dax, Amana, if you go look him up on Facebook, he's in the feed right now. He definitely is a great guy to go to for coaching. But I think we need to see more of that in our sport here in America. So, Dax, I'll be hitting you up shortly because I need to fix this thing before I need to fix it. So, but Jen, as we get to the end of the hour, which it's gone by quickly, is there anything else that you want to share with everybody before you come on again next time? Because Jen will be back, guys. Just know that Jen will be back before Christmas. We're going to get her back on. We're going to try and do we're going to call it the Girl Power Hour. I keep mentioning this, but I really want to do this. I want to get a bunch of the girls together that are playing darts and just talk darts from the girls' side of things, what they're seeing and what tournaments are like for them. So throwing that out there publicly. But anything else you'd like to share before we have to land the plane, so to speak?
Oh, there's always so much. I think we touched on a lot of future topics that we can get. I'd really love to do something similar to the Girl Power Hour, like you're saying, just have a collaborative group that is dedicated to a certain topic. And I mean, as many times as we can get Dax on here, I think he has a book's worth of knowledge to be able to share. It's always great when someone has spent, several years thinking about a certain topic and they know how to articulate it very well, clear and concise. Like, that's something that I cherish. And I know for me, I'm trying to think of it on the spot. I'm sorry if I'm not doing a well job of, clearly kind of paving out this road of success. But it is interesting that you touched on, Matt, like you don't necessarily have to be the best player to be a great coach. And that's absolutely evident. That transcends different sports, different cultures, for sure. That you can absolutely have an eye for identifying problems or what you could change to fix it. It might not mean that you have the dedication or the finances or the mentality to be able to be a professional yourself, but you certainly have the know-how and the form and mechanics too, and at least a little bit of success to prove the theory. So you have to have all of it can be this conceptual theory that you're spouting out, but you also need proof of it as well to make sure that, people can trust this knowledge. Because a lot of people, they take in the knowledge, but then they kind of just throw it by the wayside and give up on it a little too quick, I would say. Being resistant to change is a huge problem, or accepting too much change at once. Just kind of touching more on the topic, I'd say those are the two most common things I see. People have really wonky form, and that's kind of like an American cultural deal. We just, there's no one calling us out on it, really. We're getting away with doing crazy stuff at the line. Just our entire body is moving. I see so many examples of that. And they do it so much that they get to the point where, maybe they can hit a couple bullseyes around, or they can hit 4 marks in cricket around. But that's not the professional level. And so they become resistant to change because they've been doing that for 20 years. Or, like I said before, you have people that are on track to really, reaching a certain level of potential that they have. But then they take in the advice of way too many people at once, and it just overwhelms them. So that would be definitely the final thing. I would try to be in the middle of that. Take everything that people say with a grain of salt. Make sure you can apply it to yourself only if it makes sense for you. These isolated set of principles are not going to be perfect for everyone. It's going to be, you have to tailor it to your specific situation, your body height, weight, what's comfortable for you. If you have previous injuries, there's so much that goes into it. Love the topic. I'd love to talk about it more. It's a great one. We really hope you guys, are going to enjoy your holiday. Shop early. Like I said before, Black Friday specials every Friday for the entire month for A2ZDarts.com. And USA Darts Production is going to finish our finale on Wednesday for the Virtual Cup. And then we'll be continuing on with new events and just kind of carrying on, covering North American events in person once things kind of let up and we can travel. And we'll be setting up our head-to-head matches just as normal after this is over too. So be sure to keep following us there.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. And yeah, everybody keep an eye out on USA Darts Production. If you go to the website, you'll see upcoming matches. So you can keep an eye out as to when things are and what times they are playing, because sometimes when it's international, it's at different times during the day. But there's some really good play happening there. Make sure that you're watching that. And for sure, check out A to Z Darts. They've got just, honestly, almost everything under the sun when it comes to darts. Not everything, but pretty close to it. So you're going to find a lot of stuff there. And if you're in the U.S., I will say that shipping gets to you quickly. You've got a number of different options, but I will also just reiterate with the holidays and how shipping works. This year is going to be a madhouse because remember, most people aren't getting out to shop. So it's all going to be based on a shipping perspective. So get your shopping in while you can. Check them out for the cool stuff. They got some good stuff going on now. Just go over to A2ZDarts.com. And as always, if you need some jerseys, Magicwear is definitely a place to go. Come back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. We're going to have Roy from Bullseyes and Brewskis on. He's a super fan of the show, but also has his own YouTube channel. And he got his jerseys from Magicwear as well, so you get to check out his cool style there. And I believe you designed them, Jen, so that's cool.
Yeah, he had a great team. I was excited for them. They gave me some team pictures, so I hope they do well in their league. Best of luck to Roy and the boys.
Yeah, hopefully that's good. But come back and check that out tomorrow morning. And then later this week, Larry Butler's wife, Sharon Butler, she's going to be on Thursday morning, and we're going to get to hear her side of the story from the spouse of a professional darts player and kind of find out what that's like. So that should be fun and exciting. Jen, again, thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah, definitely to get you on sometime beginning of December. We'll talk more about what A to Z's got going on, and we can dive into a topic a little bit more. Maybe we'll bring you and Dax on, and we can hammer away a little bit more on how to set up, yourself, your body, your mind when it comes to getting to the hockey and playing. So
that would be great.
All right. Thanks again, Jen. Have a wonderful day. I know for you, it's 8 a.m. just like it is for me. We got to go to work. So have a good one. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Back here, same bat channel, same bat station. Well, however that went. That was old school. But thanks again, everybody. See you guys later.